Hello, here we are once again at the home of Jerome Marcus in his garden on yet another sunny afternoon, English sunny afternoon. We are indeed privileged to have with us Session Clem Cattini.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Fine, thank you, and yourself, sir?
No, I'm not fine with this freezing wind.
Thanks very much for coming along today.
Pleasure, no problem.
Your career spans over 50 years. You've played with a host of greats like Cliff Richard, Tom Jones, the Bee Gees, to name but a few. You've played on over 40 number one hits. You recently received a Lifetime Achievement Award at a memorial for Buddy Rich at the London Palladium.
Yeah.
These last 50 years, anything mad, bad or dangerous about all that?
Oh, the whole business. I mean, you've got to be mad and bad to be a drummer for a start, haven't you, really, to be honest.
Well, that's the question we often ask as it goes.
You have to be.
So you reckon you've got to be a little bit bonkers to do it in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, anybody in their right mind wants to travel around with like 5 cases of drums everywhere and have to carry them about.
Carry them everywhere and all that. And do you think also, though, that there's something a bit sort of essentially primeval about what we do in terms of bashing things?
Oh, yeah.
It's therapeutic, but there must be easier ways of doing that.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, you can go and bash everything against the wall. It's probably just as therapeutic. But no, I think it. I mean, I always remember when I started. You know, years I'm talking about the '60s when I was like Tornadoes thing, and before we had the record, and I used to be getting on the tube with bass drum and cymbals and a traps case, you know, get terrible looks from the rest of the punters and they were trying to sit down somewhere.
It is the toughest thing to decide to play, especially when you haven't got the transport or the drum techs or stuff like that.
Unless you get a roadie, you know.
Yeah. I mean, has anything really bizarre happened to you over the years?
I mean, and I've never been a drinker, but this particular night I decided to have a few drinks and I actually fell off the rostrum, you know, backwards. And but the audience thought it was great. They thought it was. And they wanted me to keep it in.
To keep it in, to do it every time.
Do it every time. And no thanks, no. But there's a lot of bizarre things. I mean, doing a session one day with we're working for some French people.
Yeah.
And we were doing this, and all of a sudden I heard the producer come down. I heard him say, "Sacre bleu, what is going on?" And I looked round the corner, and the guitar player, a guy called Joe Moretti, had covered his face in Green Shield stamps. Because, you know, it was the boardom and the
you just got fed up with the hanging about. You apparently played on It's Not Unusual, the big hit that Tom Jones had.
Well, I've been credited for it, but I honestly don't know that I did do it because who knows? I don't think I did. In fact, I'm sure I didn't, because I remember an incident where we were in a transport cafe on the A1.
Yeah. We
didn't have motorways in those days. And Gordon Mills came in, who was Tom's manager, and said to me, "Here, come outside and listen to this track on my cassette player in the car," which I did, and it was not unusual. And he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, if that's not number one, I'll be very surprised." So I'm not sure that I did play on it. I did play on Green Green Grass at home, which incidentally was his first number one.
Was his number one, his first number one?
Yeah.
Do you think in 50 years of playing that being a session player has helped in that the lifestyle of being on the road hasn't interfered with other things like relationships and all that kind of thing?
No, I mean, that's the good thing about it. I mean, I've been on the road for some time with, in the end of the 50s, with Terry Dean, with Johnny Kidd and the Pirates, and Tornadoes. And then suddenly I was sitting at home, you know, sleeping in my own bed at night, getting up like a 9-to-5 job, you know. And I was the dad of kids, you know. And I mean, I think being on the road would have killed that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of guys I know that they've lost a lot being on the road.
Weren't you originally going to be the Led Zeppelin's drummer?
Well, that's a peculiar. Yeah, I was earmarked for it. Let's put it that way. Because Peter Grant, who was the manager, rang me up and said to me, "I'd like to talk to you. Take your lunch because I've got a project that I want to talk to you about." I went, "Fine," but I never got a chance because I was doing 3 sessions a day, virtually 7 days a week. Don't know why, but there you go. Cheap.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And, but you knew Jimmy Page, didn't you?
I worked with Jim, I worked with Jim a lot.
And Paul Jones.
John Paul Jones. We were in myself and John, we were in the Lulu band together. Yeah. And also I knew Jim when I was with Johnny Kidd, and that was going back to the 50s.
So it was a near miss with Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't get time to go. So, you know, I say sort of a year later.
Didn't they have the same brush with Jimi Hendrix as well?
When I left the Tornadoes, I was starting to do sessions.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did, it was a choice between me and Mitch Mitchell, who was going to get the job at the Ivy League, either me or Mitch. I got the job at the Ivy League, and Mitch got the Hendrix job. Not quite the same thing, but having said that, I enjoyed my time with the Ivy League.
And what about what inspired you in the first place?
I was listening to American records. To be honest, I had no I didn't start playing until I was 17.
Yeah.
I had no sort of intentions of, I was working with my old man in his caff, And the thing is, I was coerced into playing actually, because I went to see, with some mates who were guitar players, I went to see Blackboard Jungle, and of course Rock Around the Clock was in it. Came out, they go, let's form a rock and roll group. I said, yeah, all right, then what do I play? I said, you play drums. I said, okay. All right. So that was, so I did.
No. How about Shaking All Over? Something funny happened in the middle of that song, didn't it?
Certainly did a fill-in. Just trying to be clever and got into this fill-in, which was supposed to be one bar. Yeah. And I started this thing, put the accents all funny places. Now I thought, how do I get out of this? And fortunately, luckily for me, I got out in the right place. Got out on the first beat of the next bar.
But to date, it's always been a kind of a strange kind of part of that song.
Even now I can't play it now.
Do you ever get the panics?
Oh, I used to. I did towards the end of my session career. I think, and I've said this so many times, I think it really is a young man's game, because when I started doing sessions, you're fearless, because you enjoy your playing. You go in the studio and you think this is great. But as my session career sort of progressed, I started getting what we call the pearlies.
The pearlies,
where you get the sweaty armpits and
you start thinking,
sweat, and you're looking at parts and going, ooh, I'm sure I played that yesterday, and suddenly parts become like nightmares, I couldn't read when I first started doing sessions. Yeah. Because most of the stuff I did originally was like the Ivy League and the Wombles and Kinks, which I did, some tracks and people like that. I didn't need to read, because they'd come and say, well, you know what to play, just play. Yeah. But then I started, I suppose, for want of a better word, getting a reputation, and suddenly I got coerced into these other sessions, and suddenly they were putting these pieces of paper in front of me, which was quite scary.
12 years you were with the Top of the Pops Orchestra.
Top of the Pops Orchestra, 12 years. I had some great songs. I played with Michael Jackson.
When you're reading, I can't read drum music. Do you have to keep your eye on it all the time, or do you roughly know what's going on? You just use it as a reference?
Use it as a reference. It's like everything else, and I've always said this: reading is a means to an end. Yeah. It's not the end. Yeah. It's just a means to an end. You start together and play whatever you like in the middle, and then you finish together.
Did you ever get to a stage where you knew it so well you didn't bother looking at the dots?
Never had a chance. Because you go in the studio, you've got 4 titles to do in 3 hours. You run through the number a couple of times, then take, and then run through the next and take. Yeah. And because studio time, and it was expensive, there was no sort of second, third chances, you had to do it.
What did you prefer, studio or live work?
The mistake I made is when I first started doing sessions, I didn't do any live work for about 3 or 4 years, and which is a mistake. You as a drummer yourself, know the way you try things out is on live gigs, because you make a goof up, who cares, it's gone. Yeah, it's not there for posterity. You do a goof on a record and it's there forever.
And everyone else has got to go in and do it again as well.
Exactly. That's the thing. The difference then and now is you could drop things in. Now you can, then you couldn't.
You couldn't do it.
If you mess up, you had to do the whole thing again. And it's frightening when you've got a whole brass section looking at you, glaring at you, going, chops, chops. So, it's quite scary.
What do you reckon about this latest thing they've discovered, that some sort of research done at some university somewhere, that drummers are supposed to be more intelligent? Something to do with their brains?
No, I don't believe that one bit.
No, I don't think I do actually. No. But the physical thing they've done, they've also discovered that to do a 3-hour set, you're supposed to be fit enough to run a marathon.
Really?
Apparently so, yeah.
You try and run a marathon with a dodgy hip.
But you've got to be fairly fit, haven't you? We do Honky Tonk Woman when we're in this band that I sometimes play for, and I've got a mate who sometimes plays the drums and I sometimes sing. I can't sing, I just gesticulate and shout.
Drummers are expected to sing.
But he's always knackered after he's done that, and that's 3 minutes or so of Honky Tonk Women, which isn't exactly particularly...
I've never been that sort of like flailing around drummer, I've just sat there and I mean, my brother used to tell me off all the time. He said, you don't look as if you're doing anything. I said, well, I'm not. You know, basically, so I don't know what the problem is.
Well, a lot of it is what you leave out, isn't it? I
Playing
mean,
the song, that's what the whole thing with this, and also the thing is, if it's so physical and think, why am I still 15 stone?
Have you ever played when you've been particularly sick or badly injured? Or
Oh God, yeah, blimey! I've done shows where I've had to have an injection. I had bad flu and I could hardly stand up.
Of course, they give you the injection rather than send you to bed.
Oh, the show must go on.
Show must go on.
You know,
absolutely.
it's like, isn't it? You know.
And drummers are very good at doing that, aren't they?
Yes.
Because they're kind of, that's my point about them being fit.
Yes.
You've got to be fairly fit to do it, which means
I
you're
understand.
probably better at dealing with something when it does turn up.
I mean,
even
the thing
injury,
is, they think because you're sitting down, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, they don't think you could fall off the stool or something.
Which you did, of course.
Which I've done, you know.
What's your favourite style of drumming?
I've played rock and roll and pop, all, you know, since my career started. But my main sort of, not regret, but the thing that I'd love to have done was to play in a big band.
Yeah,
I've never done
that big band sound. I mean, I love listening to the drummers in the big band sound. All the stabs
for a drummer,
and the, you know.
exactly. A drummer, you're playing, you know, you're doing the fills and you're playing with the brass phrases and things, you know.
Yeah, I love listening to that. Must be hard to do that, I would have thought. Do you think drummers have a different
Death wish?
fraternity? Death wish, certainly, but a different fraternity. If you get a lot of drummers together, it's always a very good atmosphere. There's always a slightly party feel about it.
I think you're right. It's all very friendly. I don't see that too much with guitar players.
No, you don't see a lot of that.
Possibly because, like most times, a guitar player in a band is usually the one that pulls the women. You know, it's all because they're all jealous of each other. But I mean, apart from that, I think there is a nice atmosphere between drummers generally. I think we seem to respect each other.
There's no angst at all.
No. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I was doing a job.
Yeah.
You know, people don't understand that. I was a musical navvy, basically. You know, instead of digging holes, I made records.
And you'd have preferred to do it that way rather than go on tour with, say, one band for 30 years or whatever?
Yeah, in some respects. I mean, I had my share of going on the road with bands, you know. But, I mean, the session scene enabled me to be where I wanted to be, which was be, you know, a dad and a bit at home.
Because going on the road initially, especially when you're young and you haven't made it, does involve a lot of unpleasantness, doesn't it?
Bands we used to go out on the tours that I did with, like the Larry Parnes days, you know, in the 50s, and we used to go on a coach which we used to call the vomit box. Yeah. You know, that was, that's how it was, you know.
I mean, I once was in a band called Bigger Mercedes, who were managed by Larry Page.
Oh, dear old Larry, When I left the Tornadoes, he made a record with me called the Clem Cattini Hawk.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I think it sold about 3 in Afghanistan, I think. I think that was about it. I liked Larry. I got on well with Larry.
He was a nice man. Yeah. Teenage Rage, they called him.
Larry Page, a teenager with green hair when I worked with him.
If I was to say to you, what's your top 5 favourite drummers of all time?
Oh, Buddy Rich, obviously.
Buddy Rich.
Thank you very much, Dave Weckl. Ralph Salmins. Was a very, very good player. Oh, Steve Gadd. The thing I liked about Steve Gadd, you know, to me he was the epitome of knowing what to play where.
Because he has that brilliance of technique, but he only uses it when it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, knows where to use it, and that's, you know, Elliot Henshaw, a very good player. There are so many. I mean, it's like people say, who do you think is the best? Yeah. There is, you know, everybody's different.
How about Brian Bennett?
Brian, great mate of mine, Brian. Yeah. We actually virtually grew up together. He was with Marty Wilde, and I was with Billy Fury. And Brian's a very fine player. Yeah. I don't think Brian has ever got as much credit as he really should have done. Yeah. And another thing with Brian, you know, when we were on the coach touring, we would be sort of in front of the coach messing around, smoking and having a laugh and drinking and whatever. And Brian would be at the back studying how to arrange, and that's why he's such a good arranger now as well. You know, I
didn't know he was an arranger as well as a drummer.
He does. He's done about 3 or 4 television shows that he's written for.
Did you ever write anything for? You did some producing, didn't you? At one time.
I did a bit of producing at one time, but I mean, that all fizzled out. I mean, I did some things. Funny enough, with John Paul Jones when he was. Yeah. He was a producer on some stuff, and he used to send me the music, and I used to put it in. Program it and send the machine back to the studio, and then one day I thought, no, I didn't start playing drums to push buttons.
The humanity goes out of it a little bit, doesn't it?
Exactly. You know, I mean, that makes me laugh. A lot of machines now, drum machines, they've got human buttons.
Oh, yeah.
If you want a human button, get a human.
The drummer to play it. You know.
Yeah. I mean, talking about that, you know, we're talking about various things. I remember once doing a session, the guy came in and said to me, "Can you play like Keith Moon?" I says, "No." She want Keith Moon, get Keith Moon. Why ask me? I ain't got a clue, you know.
And the truth is, no one can play like
play
Keith
like
Moon.
Keith
Anyway.
Moon. I mean, I didn't particularly want to play like Keith Moon,
No.
but the thing is, no, I can't. You know, that's not what I do.
What you do,
know.
yeah. What about Ringo?
Now, that thing about Ringo, I mean, he was so right for the Beatles.
Yeah.
I saw the Beatles play with a different drummer,
Yeah.
a guy called Jimmy Nicol,
Yeah.
who was a very good player. I mean, I worked with Jimmy in the years, and he's a very good technician, very good player.
Yeah.
But it never sounded the same. Ringo
Yeah.
was absolutely perfect, and he was quite innovative.
Yeah, he
as
was.
well.
Some of
Because
his
people
fills
don't-
are really classic.
He
aren't
nicked
they?
them off of me, but
Did he?
no.
Well, he could make things swing when they weren't actually. It wasn't actually a swing rhythm required.
That's
He
right,
could put the
yes.
swing into everything, whatever.
Yeah,
it was.
exactly.
There was a kind of a smoothness about it. Thanks, Clem.
Welcome.
Hope you enjoyed that, folks. Tune in next week for the second part of this interview. Hi there, hope you enjoyed that first part of our interview with Clem Cattini, second part up next week. Also coming soon is another interview with Clash legend Topper Headon. And in the meantime, please always remember to like, subscribe and share with all your friends. Cheers.
Ignore the cameras, completely ignore the cameras, just have a conversation
good.
with him.
Yeah, right, great. As long as I know. I don't want to do one of them.
You rolling, George?
Yeah,
Aeroplane.
airplane, planes.
Yeah, I mean, don't, yeah, look at it first, because then when it gets to that phase,
That's a nice one. Oh yeah,
Solid
I
and
mean, but
whatever.
again, you know, going back to what I said about.
those are the ones we need to watch.
Oh, right, yeah.
Good God, look at that.
Oh, that's great, isn't it?
Wow.
Somebody asking one of the trumpet players. Oh,
Another
Another
one of these bloody
plane.
low flyers.
What?
that-
You'll be able to start.
yeah. Tell you what, some good planes going over. They're all executive jets, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's yours.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish. I'm just. They're just going to pick me up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.